Boom, boom. We're making sure you're awake. Jared Koller here, rocking with Marleah Campbell on a Monday here in Kansas City. And it's time to talk some sports. Marleah, it's always a beautiful day, but I think it's a wonderful day in Kansas City because we've got Salvador Perez and Bobby Witt Jr. Currently in the top 2 of the American League All-Star Game voting. However, so that's the positive spin. Hey, 2 Royals are in the top 2. Negative spin, why aren't they number 1? What are we doing, Kansas City? Let's go. So for those of you who don't know, All-Star Game voting started at the beginning of the month. Of course, the All-Star Game itself coming up July 16th in Texas. And Salvador Perez, All-Star catcher year after year after year. He's currently second in the latest voting. This is our first voting update behind Adley Rutschman of the Baltimore Orioles. Bobby Witt Jr. in second as shortstop behind Gunnar Henderson, also of the Baltimore Orioles. So, Marleah, I got a problem with Baltimore. What are they doing? Go outside. Go in the Atlantic Ocean while Kansas City votes.
Boy. Well, first of all, you mentioned it was a beautiful day, and you didn't mention that this is our first Marleah Jared edition of the show.
Oh, yes.
Very
yes.
exciting. But to your first point, that just made me think of a story. I was interviewing Vinny Pasquantino around the time of the 2014 reunion when all those guys came back, and I was asking him in the clubhouse, what do you remember about that era of Royals baseball? And he said, I just remember them having to change the rules of All-Star voting because Kansas City went nuts and absolutely flooded the polls. I'd like to get back to that. We're obviously on the right trajectory when it comes to the Royals. I guess, we haven't had a winning season since 2015, so things looking up there. But it'd be nice to get back to having issues with Royals fans flooding the polls.
They've limited so you can't vote 100 times per day. I think you can vote 5 times a day per email. So if you have a couple of email addresses, both of them are.
How many times have you voted today?
Yeah, listen, I'm doing my part, Kansas City. I'm holding this up here. All right, I got to get more on the bandwagon. Both are about 200,000 votes behind. But that's second place, so that's not an insurmountable lead. And as we saw, that can change quickly. Marleah, you referenced the 2015 Royals team. They at one point in time had 8 different Royals in the update. So they had Salvador Perez as catcher, Eric Hosmer first base, Omar Infante at second base. That was the big campaign. Yeah. And this is all off the top of my head, so if I'm wrong here, I'm sorry.
I was looking to see if you were looking down at a paper.
No.
Or not.
Listen, I remember it well. But the big Vote Omar campaign captivated the city because Omar Infante really was not playing very well that year. But listen, we got to get all the Royals in there. You had Alcides Escobar at shortstop, Mike Moustakas at third base, Alex Gordon in left field, then Mike Trout in center field. All right, so he's the non-Royal. And then Lorenzo Cain was also in the outfield spot there as well. And Kendrys Morales as DH. So that was a great time. But my point bringing that up, they all didn't make it. Eric Hosmer actually didn't make it to the All-Star game because Canada all votes for one team. Toronto, I believe Justin Smoke got in there, and I was very disappointed by that. So, and Omar Infante did not end up getting in there. Jose Altuve did. So just because the Royals are in second right now with Bobby and Salvi does not mean that Royals fans can't do their part and get them there. But, Marleah, I think they're both very deserving, so I hope it happens.
Well, and something that's pretty cool. I think these two guys kind of paint the picture of this team, which is you have Salvi and the veteran guy that's been around for many, many moons now, and then you have Bobby, who just turned 24. So you kind of have 2 ends of the spectrum, 2 star talent, and I think that paints this picture of this team pretty well, which is the balance of veteran leadership and young guys, Bobby, Vinny, that are carrying this team into tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they're 2 of the most valuable players, definitely 2 of the most valuable guys in the lineup. If you're wondering about pitching, Cole Reaganson and Seth Lugo, that is not open to All-Star Game online voting, so they could still get in. Those are player voted and managerial voted. We'll learn that in early July, but I think and even if Bobby and Salvi don't get in voting-wise, I think they both still will make the All-Star game, just not as a starter. Mm-hmm. But, Marleah, it's cooler when you're a starter. You run out of the dugout, you're starting the game off. So
get the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I hope they start, and I hope Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo are also in that mix because, really, as you said, they're 2 of the most valuable players in the sense that the bottom of the Royals lineup has not been consistently strong this year. They've had moments, but a lot of their offensive production comes on the back of Bobby Witt Jr. leading all of baseball in batting average, Salvador Perez leading all of baseball in on-base percentage with runners in scoring position. So when there's ducks in the pond, Salvi is consistently coming through, and that's one of the biggest reasons why when he left the game on Friday with that sore knee, Marleah, I was worried. I mean, this team cannot afford to lose Bobby or Salvi, and that is the definition of an all-star win.
Knocking on wood right now.
Yeah, exactly.
When, you're replaceable.
Yeah, and so that speaks to their volume and the fact that this Royals season has been great, but the margin for error with those two guys is slim, and that's why they should be all-stars in my opinion. So, all right. I've done my part. I'm not sold that Marleah's done her part, so that's where,
I'm excited to talk about this next one.
So, yes, MJ Melendez. You can also vote for him on the All-Star game.
5 times a day. Well, what you got me with was making multiple emails. I guess I have multiple emails.
Yeah.
Is that cheating? You can do that.
Nope. I think you need to do that.
All right,
so, all right, on to the next. MJ Melendez. You can also vote for him for the All-Star game. His numbers maybe aren't deserving. We'll get into that, but I want to start off with your story because outside of Salvador Perez getting injured Friday night, missing Saturday, and then being back in the lineup on Sunday, it was an eventful weekend series in Hollywood, in part because MJ had one of the biggest home runs in recent Royals history in what ended up being a game-winning grand slam in the 6th inning. And Marleah, a grand slam in the 6th inning is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny because I was texting my dad during that game, and as soon as we said, oh my gosh, grand slam 6th inning, I go, man, that sounds familiar because the Sonic Slam, as many people remember, used to be on the broadcast. Now they just talk about it on radio, but it still exists. So anytime there's a grand slam in the 6th inning, I should backtrack. Anytime there's a home run in the 6th inning, one fan who's kind of nominated through this contest has a shot to win $1,000. If there's a grand slam in the 6th inning, they get $25,000. So this has happened 11 times ever. Contest dates back to the 90s. And most recently, about 430 games ago, Salvador Perez in 2021 hitting that grand slam in the 6th. So I was really curious to see who won it. So I kind of did an internet deep dive and found Mendy King. She's 61 years old, out of Olathe. She is the winner. Her daughter actually nominated her. She said she's the luckiest person she knows. She wins radio contests and things all the time. So she thought, hey, I'll sign my mom up. Pretty exciting story. This is going to air at 10 tonight, but a little bit of, I guess, a peek behind the curtain here is that Mendy has been driving a car that does not have air conditioning for several years now. As we all know, Kansas City summers, not a good time to be in a hot car without air conditioning. So she's using the money. She'll buy a new car with air conditioning, with a working AC, and she'll also repair her daughter's car a little bit. She needs new tires and brakes, and so she'll thank her for signing her up for that program by doing a little work on her car too. But pretty cool. MJ obviously had no idea. Hopefully he sees the story and, is able to. I think they'll meet at a game in a couple weeks. But, another thing about that grand slam is it came on pitch 12 at that at-bat. And, Jared, you were saying, what is that, the third longest?
Yeah, there's been 2 grand slams on 13 pitch at-bats.
Yeah.
But only 2, and no more than that. So it's the third most pitches seen that eventually leads to a grand slam because, Marleah, as you know, a lot of times once you get in those long at-bats, you're just fouling off pitches, hoping to slot one into the outfield, bloop one in.
And Melendez hasn't had a great year. Remember, he's been on base, 6 times before that? So, I think he was hitting 165 and hasn't been the season he was hoping for in kind of this, second campaign. So, big confidence builder for him. His bases loaded, 2 outs, full count, and he was able to deliver against a really good team on the road. So,
off Blake Trinan, who has a nasty cutter. I mean, there was a lot of movement, and it's impressive to just keep fouling off those pitches. That's not easy to do. Adam Frazier struck out in 3 pitches of that bat before. Impressive showing by MJ. Impressive showing by Mendy. All right.
Yeah.
Being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all it takes. Very lucky.
What? She said she wants to get an MJ jersey now?
That's the other thing. Yep. So she said she's getting that new car. She's repairing her daughter's car. But the first purchase she's going to make is an MJ Melendez jersey, which is, I think, pretty fitting.
Yeah. Deservedly so. Those are always cool.
And hopefully this gets MJ back on the right track, kind of getting some confidence heading into the back half of this
season. That's the topic I want to bring up. So right now he's batting 171, all right, which is not where he or the Royals would like, but it's interesting, Marleah. I was curious because this isn't the first time MJ's hit a big home run, okay? He has 8 home runs on the year, and 4 of them have been go-ahead or game-tying late-inning home runs. That is extremely valuable. 3 more of those have been multi-run home runs. So and those extra 3 have all come in Royals wins. So the Royals are 6-2 when he hits home runs. 7 of his 8 home runs have been multi-run, with 6 of them coming in the 6th inning or later. That is crazy when you think about he doesn't have that many hits.
Yeah.
He also has that game-winning slide in Cleveland. So, in my opinion, I don't have a metric to put behind it, but I think he really has been one of Kansas City's most valuable players on the isolated basis of this one action was the biggest reason why the Royals won that game. I think, and even one that they lost, if you remember, he came up down to 2 outs, 2 strikes in the bottom of the 9th inning against Seattle not too long ago, hit the game-tying home run. They go on to lose that game, but for whatever reason, he has come in very clutch this year, and
big moments,
it's why I think the Royals are sticking with him a lot longer than I think some fans may want, because you see that moment where, a lot of guys, they crumple under that pressure. He almost does better under the pressure.
Under it, yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully this gets him going. As a former athlete yourself, I don't know how you controlled your emotions during those big moments, because I know I can't, but that's something that if MJ can, that is a valuable trait as this team continues to play more meaningful baseball.
Oh, I've sat with you during Chiefs playoff games, so I know what it's like. But yeah, I mean, I think the Royals see the upside in him and see what he's capable of doing. Now it's just a matter of getting to a point of consistency. And again, hopefully this is the thing that maybe gets him over the hump, gets him some confidence, because it's a mental game. So, and if you would have told me those numbers, Jared, when you were talking about Salvador Perez or Bobby Witt Jr., I would have believed you. But
also been very clutch. But
that seems very just kind of like
it's the dichotomy.
Dichotomy is the word.
Either you're hitting a clutch home run or you're popping
nothing.
out or striking out.
Yeah.
And so the question is, what's more real? Well, that's why the Royals are paid a lot of money to make those right decisions, and so far they're sticking with MJ Melendez. And listen, at least over the last couple of weeks with some of the home runs he's hit, he's playing great defense. He had another sliding catch in L.A. And I don't know if the guys behind him are that much better options. I'm fine rolling with him here for the foreseeable future. I know Royals fans disagree. All right, let's wrap up on the Royals as a whole. We've talked about Melendez, Bobby, and Salvi, but Marleah, they are finally leaving the gauntlet that is the Los Angeles Dodgers,
brutal.
New York Yankees, Seattle Mariners, and Cleveland Guardians. All first-place teams. Those are the last 4 teams the Royals have played. They stayed above float. No, they stayed afloat. They stayed above water. Both true, not when you combine them in the same sentence. And they went 5-7 in those games. The nice thing now is they're off today. So starting tomorrow through August 21st. All right, so a lot of time. 54 ball games will be played, Marleah. The Kansas City Royals will play a grand total of 2 teams with records currently above 500.
Oof, yeah.
One of those is a 4-game series against the Cleveland Guardians, who you're chasing, so great opportunity there to make up ground. And then 6-game against the Boston Red Sox, who are just 2 games above 500. So it's not like they're another Goliath, okay? That is a very winnable stretch. After that, 19 of their last 35 games are against teams currently above 500. So it gets a lot harder after August 21st. So I look at these next 54 games between now and August 21st. You got to make some ground here, all right? You survived against the really good teams. This is where it's not a hot take to say, hey, these next 2 months are important. But overall, the excuse of hey, you're playing the Yankees and Dodgers, who are better than the Royals, obviously. Well, you're not really having many games like that anymore. Now's the time to start putting some wins together.
Yeah, these last couple series have been like swimming through mud, right? I mean, it's just like grinding, trying to get through them, trying to pick up a win or 2 in each of those series.
And they have. They never got swept.
And they have, yep. Oh, some big plays. We had the walk-off last series and now the MJ Melendez Grand Slam in this one. But, the thing, too, is other teams in the division now, this flips, where they have more challenging schedules.
Yes, good point.
So take care of business on the road here. You got the A's. They've lost 9 straight. Not great. You swept them in Kansas City. It's a relief. It's kind of a weight off the shoulders of this team, but you still have to take care of business and make up ground, as you said, going into the All-Star break here.
We will see. Record is 41-32 on this off day. Back at it late tomorrow night against the Oakland A's. The Royals currently 5 games back of Cleveland in the American League Central, but I think almost even more importantly, Marleah, they're 3.5 games up on the wild card. So even though against these teams that have been really good, going 2-5 this last week. One, a lot of teams lose to the Dodgers and Yankees. There's no shame. This is the first time since last August that a team has turned in 3 consecutive quality starts against the Dodgers. That's how good their lineup is. The Yankees are phenomenal. But they still have some breathing room in that wild card race. And I think the interesting thing that I took away from yesterday's game, because they lost 3-0, but Brady Singer, I don't know how much you watched of his start against the Yankees and his start against the Dodgers. He really kind of struggled against New York, in part, I think, because he relied too much on his sinker slider. And against really good lineups, you need to keep them guessing. And when you only are really throwing 2 pitches that they're scared of, Marleah, well, that batter has a 50-50 shot in many ways of picking the right pitch, and the Yankees did, and he didn't go that far. And that's been the challenge since 2020 that we've been talking about with Brady Singer, right? What's that third pitch? Well, against the Dodgers, he threw his 4-seam fastball 10, 12 times, I think, and that is a sign of development. And he still threw the changeup a couple times, so that's where you're logging 4 different pitches. I know he gave up 2 home runs to Shohei Ohtani and 1 to Freddie Freeman. Both have MVPs in their mantle. Yeah. So 3 runs, 6 innings against the Dodgers, I think you absolutely take that. And now I wonder if that start against the Yankees where he didn't excel was kind of like another reality check that, hey, I need to have more than just my sinker slider, because those 2 pitches on their own we've seen can win ball games. But if one of those pitches isn't working, you're toast. Or if the other team is really good, it's going to be hard to beat them with just 2 pitches. And so when we start thinking about this team as how can they win a playoff game, how can they beat the good teams come October, that will be a key storyline to follow now through October. So there's Brady Singer for you. All right, we've done a lot of Royals talk, so let's talk about the defending champion Chiefs. Hopefully, at this time next year, we're going to talk about the defending champion Kansas City Royals. Yeah. And a three-peat. Also and, true.
I mean, it's a really exciting time. Here's a little sidebar, but you got the current at the top of the table in the NWSL. We could be having a very, very busy fall coming up here.
Yeah, and Sporting Kansas City, I think, listen, the season is still long and a lot of teams get in the playoffs. I'm not ruling them out.
Yep.
As of the 4 local teams, the lowest odds.
Yeah.
But no, after what they did last year, they have earned the benefit of my trust to a degree.
Sure.
We'll get to the current rule. That's where we'll end, but we do want to mention the Chiefs because they are now on vacation, Marleah. But they're going out in style. They just wrapped up minicamp last week. They had their Super Bowl ring ceremony this past Thursday at the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. And today is Justin Reed Day here in Kansas City. And so you and I were at his charity golf event this morning. And pretty cool to see players supporting Justin Reed and Justin Reed supporting Kansas City.
Yeah, past, present, and coaches. I mean, we had Dave Merritt was there, Dave Tobe. MVS was there. Obviously he's been traded, but he took time to come to the event and to speak to the media and everything, which I thought was pretty cool. It's really special what these guys do in the community, and they were emphasizing that on the red carpet, the mini red carpet that we had there, about how important it is to give back. And, these are people not necessarily from Kansas City. Justin Reed, a Stanford guy, coming back and contributing, on and off the field and taking advantage of this time. We have the next couple weeks here where guys are working out on their own, but it's not until training camp that we'll see them back on the field. So fun event this morning, and excited for the next couple of weeks here. We'll have a couple things like this. There was a camp last weekend. It's a kind of our last break of the year before we dive full speed into training camp and then right into season.
Training camp arrives on July 16th, I believe, is when rookies and quarterbacks report. And, the team announced the first chance for fans to watch training camp practice in St. Joe Sunday, July 21st. And so
where'd the time go? It's wild. I mean, we're closer to the season now than we are the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
In February, which is just absolutely wild to me. But, train rolls on.
It's exciting time, and I think when I think of Justin Reed today and the players there talking about, hey, it's important to get out and about here in Kansas City and talk with the people. And I think back to the ring ceremony red carpet on Thursday, a question that I like asking these guys. Well, 2 questions I'll bring up. One, I like asking them, hey, what do you do when you win a Super Bowl? Not like, that like immediately what happens, and I like hearing those stories. Good answer from Steve Spagnuolo. He said he hugged Rick Burkhalter, but then he looked right at Drew Tranquill, who's right by him, and he like got down on his knees, and he was telling Drew how happy he was for Drew Tranquill because that was his first Super Bowl. Of course, Spags has now won 4 Super Bowls. So that was cool. James Winchester said he was like, holding a ball and kind of getting ready in case they had to kick a field goal. Ooh, and so then he says you just take off running. And Tranquill says, then he remembers Spags, then you go try to find your family. So cool moments like that I like. I think those are the most human moments, right? Like you're just a little kid. You just won the Super Bowl. You run around like crazy under the confetti.
Yep.
But the second thing that I like talking to them about is their awareness level and their realization of what their efforts means to Kansas City, like how loved they are by this town and the happiness that they've brought, your family, your friends, this town. And I like asking them that because it gets them to answer in such a way where they're able to step back and be like, yeah, I feel the love here. And I think that's something Kansas City fans can be really proud of, that the noise level at Arrowhead does not go unnoticed. The autographs, the pictures, the showing up to charity events, that does not go unnoticed by Chiefs players. And that's what they talked to us this morning, right, about that they know it's important to be out in the community because of the role they play in this community and how much Chiefs players are looked up to by the kids, by everybody here in Kansas City.
Well, and this support, I guess this is a great transition to our final topic, but the support that they have for each other. Lola Bonta, Haley Mace, They were both there today. They took time on the red carpet, and they both said, we think so highly of Justin, and we're here to support him, and we're here to support Kansas City. So it's cool seeing that kind of, teams of different pro teams or players from different pro teams in Kansas City supporting each other in their off-field endeavors. But yeah, it was a special morning, and a lot of who's who of Kansas City was there. So you'll hear from them tonight at
6 and 10, sure.
6 and 10.
Yeah, and everyone that watched the on-air version of KC Sports Night, reminder, we have this 5:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday on CBS, KCTV5 here at 10:30 to 11. Last night we aired all the raw interviews from the red carpet, and so a lot of cool stuff there. Justin Watson's great guy. Blake Bell from Wichita, great interview. Felix Onyeudike-Uzama, obviously, he's a hometown kid. So a lot of good stuff there. And it's a great time to be in Kansas City because of that and because of the Current. In the past decade, we've had a lot of winners, and it looks like the Current are once again holding up their standard, which is no small feat, Marleah, for a franchise that's still fairly new, but winning is the expectation at CPKC Stadium, and they do it week in and week out. You were there this past Friday.
Yeah, top of the table right now, undefeated. This is a team, remember, that did not make the playoffs last season. They had a massive roster overhaul this offseason, and we've seen it play out in a pretty impressive fashion. I mean, to be this deep in the season and have not lost a game. And, this just makes me excited. You think 2 years ago when the Current made the NWSL championship game, that was a really special time to be part of Kansas City. And, there was teal hanging out in the teal hanging up, in the Union Station, and there was kind of lights all around Kansas City. It was just a really special kind of time. And then that dropped off last season. Well, this year it coincides with the introduction of the new stadium, the first stadium for women, a women's pro sports team built in the world. And so for that to coincide with on-field success is a really exciting time right now. Vlatko is talking about when we make the playoffs, not if we make the playoffs. There's still a lot of season to go here, but I think we could be set up for a really exciting fall. And we've seen Kansas City rally around this team when they're playing well. So, I was there Friday night, sold out, 11,500 fans there. Again, on a Friday, a holiday weekend Friday. It was Pride night. And just a good time. And that stadium, if you haven't been there before, I'd recommend going. It's right on the river. You can see the river from where you're sitting. It's kind of that intimate, there's no bad seat in the house kind of place. 11,500, they sell out all the time. It gets very, very loud in there. So, it's a cool time to be part of that kind of in the circle of that club.
Is that kind of what you'd say for people that haven't been there before when they ask you, what's it like there? Is that kind of intimate, loud, good scenery, good views, that kind of the headliners you think?
Yeah, I think about it like Allen Fieldhouse is where I grew up going, and there's no bad seat in the house. There's like four seats in corner that aren't great, but 16,000 is Allen Fieldhouse, 16,300, 11,500 is this CPKC Stadium. So it kind of creates that like It's not too big. It's not too small. And it gets really loud. Maybe it's the bowl shape. I don't know. But it is like
I think it's Kansas City fans. We are loud fans.
And they got a great spot on the riverfront. You're overlooking the city at night. It is beautiful. And you got good soccer being played there right now, too.
Well, yeah, that helps. That's Kansas City fans are loud, especially when they're winning. That helps.
And again, between the Chiefs looking to three-peat, Royals looking at a blue October for the first time in very, very many moons. The Current potentially, chasing the playoffs. Jared, if your sporting prediction comes true.
Oh, not necessarily prediction. I'm just on June 17th, which is Justin Reed Day. I'm not saying, oh no, the Current aren't making the playoffs. I can't go that far. Let's pull up live MLS standings.
You got I'll keep going. You got college football teams, KU and K-State picked near the top of the Big 12. Mizzou expected to have a really big year coming back here. So we could be having a very, very, very busy fall this year, including, Jared, I'm curious where we're at with the sporting standings.
The standings, yep. The live television here, folks. No, I'm glad you mentioned the college because, yes, college basketball and football very well. So Sporting currently has 14 points for 13th place. Not great. But remember, 9th place gets you in the play-in game. So they are 7 points behind the Seattle Sounders.
I don't hate it.
7 points.
Last year, remember, it took them – they were winless through the first 10 games of the season. We're past that right now.
And so, 2 wins and a draw, and Sporting is in the playoffs with some help. Again, would I put money on that? No. But am I going to
saying there's a chance?
Yeah. Am I going to be like, oh no, they're not? I can't do that. Then again, I'm also the eternal optimist. So those of you that have
very busy fall.
listened to these Casey Sports Tonight discussions know that I'm always thinking glass half full. But thankfully, Marleah is also somewhat positive, unlike Neil and Scott, who are just grumpy and
I
old.
hope they're watching.
Us youngins. All right, we're holding down the fort this week. Scott and Neil are both on vacation, so Marleah will be here tomorrow and Wednesday. I'll be back here Thursday and Friday. And then, Marleah also gone this coming week. So good times here at KC5, good times in Kansas City. We thank you for watching. Thanks for checking us out. Marleah, any parting thought?
That is it. Yeah, thanks.
James Shields, salute. Adios. I now hit the button that says we're done.